Uhuru. Uhuru means freedom. My name is Mwezi Odom, Secretary General of the African People's Socialist Party USA. I want to salute my leadership, APSC Chairman Omali Yeshitela, founder and leader of the international Uhuru Movement that is leading the African Revolution and the global anti-colonial struggle. On behalf of our National Central Committee, we say colonialism must go, and that the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru Movement stand unconditionally with the Mexican, Indigenous, and other Latin American people of the barrios of Los Angeles, Paramount, and Compton, who are in a state of powerful resistance on their own stolen land. We salute Union del Barrio, our closest compañeros, for 40 years, recognizing that the indigenous Mexican people are the rightful owners of this land from Alaska to Chile. As Union del Barrio declared in a statement during their resistance, quote, "Our struggle began when the first invaders set foot on our lands in 1492. This is our land, this is our fight. We will not accept to live in eternal fear, and we do not ask permission or make apologies to the repressive government when we defend our families and communities. History is on our side, and today, more than ever, we have the moral authority and the universal right to defend our people from kidnappings and family separation," end quote. As captured African people, kidnapped from our own homeland of Africa, enslaved and colonized on stolen indigenous land for 400 years, we recognize that the struggle of the Mexican indigenous people for their self-determination and sovereignty is another front of our same struggle for freedom and independence. We recognize that our united goal is the overturning of the colonial mode of production, which has built wealth and prosperity for the colonizers for centuries at the expense of indigenous, African, and colonized people. As African internationalists, we recognize that the system of U.S. colonial border patrol and immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, is built on a colonial capitalist system of repression and police containment that extends back to slave patrols. This was made evident in the brutality imposed on African migrants from Haiti in Del Rio, Texas in September 2021. As Chairman Omali Yeshitela has stated, the genocidal colonial terror against Mexican people began long before Trump, when white colonial settlers stole half of Mexico at gunpoint in the 1850s. All of quote-unquote California and the entire quote-unquote Southwest of the illegitimate settler colonial U.S. is stolen, occupied land that belongs to the indigenous people. We call on African people worldwide to join in this struggle to reverse the verdict of colonialism over our lives. We reject colonial and neo-colonial opportunism that has attempted to divide the African working class from its centuries-long solidarity with the indigenous people of the Americas. We know that Africans, from the moment of our initial colonial enslavement on this continent, have been part of the revolution of the Americas. We unite with the demand for an end to the vicious kidnappings of Mexican people by the colonial occupation army known as ICE, the removal of the National Guard, sheriff's deputies, and LA police from their communities, and the right for Mexican indigenous people to reclaim their land and self-determination, and victory to the resistance of the Mexican people. Colonialism must go. Victory to African, Mexican, and indigenous people. The people united will never be defeated. Hasta la victoria siempre. Uhuru. Uhuru. Uhuru comrades, welcome to everybody on today. My name is Mwezi Odom, and I am a proud member of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru Movement, and the chairperson of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Counteroffensive. We are here on today, an exciting day indeed, because as we have been saying, and what you will continue to hear, is that it is not over. The fight is not over. And I just want to say that we have a very packed program today. So without further ado, I just want to take a moment to salute my leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Chairman of the African People's Socialist Party and founder of the Uhuru Movement, and Deputy Chair Onozine Yeshitela, for their powerful leadership and relentless struggle for African people and all of the oppressed and colonized people in this anti-colonial struggle on earth, so that we can be free and self-determining. And as I just wanted to say, this is, as we understand, this is a time of great upheaval around the world, here inside the US and around the world. And today you're going to be hearing from some really exciting updates and presentations. We're going to hear from the Uhuru 3 attorneys. We're going to hear about the Mexican indigenous uprisings and the struggle. We're going to hear from the Leonard Peltier front, those who helped release the comrade, as well as some updates about on the ground, what is happening on the ground following this horrific tornado in North St. Louis. So just some quick updates. But before we go any further, I want to salute and appreciate my comrade and my co-MC, Chairwoman Penny Hess, Chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee and one of the Uhuru Three. So Uhuru, comrade.
Uhuru, Uhuru Chair Mwezi. So good
Uhuru.
to see you. So good to see you. Yeah, I just wanted to join you in saluting this powerful event that we're going to be having today. I want to, join in welcoming everybody who has come on and all those who have given such powerful support and solidarity with the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru Movement for this whole hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa process of kicking back the state, just taking on the state and overcoming this brutal attack. And I wanted to join in saluting my leadership as well. Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela, the African People's Socialist Party, and salute you, Chair Mwezi, and all of the other leaders and members of the party, and to say that it is a great honor to be part of the African People's Solidarity Committee, to have the honor of being the chair of APSC with the mandate to go into the white community to organize others like ourselves for reparations to African people. So I just know before we get started, I wanted to say that one of the oldest relationships, organizational relationships of the African People's Socialist Party is Union del Barrio, who we have the honor of having a leading member, Francisco Chavo Romero, on with us today. And that we saw in this past week or so just profound uprising of the Mexican people and this whole, quote, immigration of the Mexican indigenous people fighting for their own land, that we know that the only illegal immigrants are the white conquistadors and conquerors who have taken over this land and the US government. And so we want to, I just wanted to salute your statement, Chair Mwezi and the party for that brilliant statement, that you had. And just to mention that statement that we just saw the video of went viral with almost 800,000 views. And that is powerful. And again, we want to salute Union del Barrio, who have, just been out there struggling for the liberation of the indigenous people for 40 years. And we also are just continuing to salute the release of Leonard Peltier. And we are so happy to have on with us Don Lawson from the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. And just want to say that the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, this is an incredible victory that forced the United States government to release Leonard Peltier, and to really thank the members of the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, including Kalonji Changa, Jennifer Jones, Leonard Peltier's lead attorney, and so many others who have been with Hands Off Uhuru for several years now. And this has just been, really, really important to this movement. I wanted to say also salute Jainaba Lumumba for putting that video of you together with the background images. That was so powerful. I just wanted to read really quickly a couple of comments. The viral video of the Chair Mwezi giving that statement from the African People's Socialist Party, as we said, went viral. And there are hundreds and hundreds of comments. I just wanted to read a typical comment that we saw, two of them actually. So this is one from Maribel Gonzalez. She says, "Wow, very powerful, sister. It made me cry. I am a firm believer that we are one and we need to unite. It is the only way. We need to erase the racial divide, that silent line that no one talks about. This is the time to bring us all together and resist, persist, fight, and never desist." And just one other sample of the beautiful comments from Patricia Moncada. She said, yes, right on, sister. You are absolutely right. And everything you say, we are all one. Thank you for your strong words in history. That is so important. United together, we must win this war. Colonialism is based on fear and lies. Fascism does not belong in the US. We must fight. So just Uhuru, that's just a sample of the response to your statement, Chairman
Uhuru.
Wasey.
Uhuru, thank you, comrade. Yes, really, I appreciate you going through some of those comments, as we move into our program, but just want people to be aware that that statement has gone out. You can find it on the Burning Spear website, which is our, online newspaper, as well as on the Burning Spear YouTube is where that most recent edited video, which was done by Karma Jainaba, is up. And we just want people to be aware of that and continue to share that and put that out. And we'll be talking more about that. But we're going to queue up a PowerPoint as well, because as Chairwoman Penny mentioned, we have some really great speakers. And I just want to kind of give a quick overview about what to expect on today's program and what's happening, in this period. So just want to say and, reiterate that today's webinar is to, make a major announcement and an update that the Uhuru 3 filed the appeal. And so we're going to hear from our attorneys today. The appeal was filed on June 16th, which was just this past Monday. And, this was to appeal the bogus conviction of conspiracy. And we just want to say that's why you're here, and we want to appreciate you for coming on. Today's webinar is brought to you by the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition. The Fightback Coalition is a non-sectarian, anti-colonial free speech coalition that is making the demand, next slide, to drop the charges on Uhuru 3 and to defend the right to freedom of speech. And as we can see, the speech of the colonized, the speech of the oppressed is always, can only make an assault on colonialism, because we understand that that is the main offense of the people. And we invite everybody to join this coalition, to be a part of this, because we are stronger together. And as you can see that, in the resistance happening around the world. Again, I want to salute my leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, as well as Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, who is the blueprint of the Black Power, the architect of the Black Power blueprint, which you'll see more about in today's program. Again, you are here because you remember when the Uhuru 3 was raided on, when the Uhuru movement was raided on July 29, 2022. Since then, comrades, you have been with us through the ongoing attack since July to today, to the present. And we just want to continue to salute our supporters from the first week of the attacks to the first week of the trial. You have been with us. We love you all, and we just say that the power of the people won that victory for the Uhuru 3. And as we know, we were able to beat the United States government, in their lies, in the court. We told the truth, we won. But as the chairman said, it is not over. And as we are announcing on today, we filed that appeal, and we're going to speak more about what that means overall. So this movement is global. We are everywhere, comrades, and we want to be everywhere, rather. And we want to say that, the support for the Uhuru 3 has just been so tremendous. So I just really want to salute comrades Penny Hess, Jesse Nevel, and our chairman, Omali Yeshitela, who have, who also restored confidence in the people that we can fight back. And that when we're being attacked and when we're under attack, we know we're doing something right, and we're standing on the right side of the question. So who you'll hear from on today is our attorney, Leonard Goodman, who is one of the leading attorneys on the legal team for the Uhuru 3, as well as comrade and Attorney Angela Reaney, who will also be giving us an update. We want to appreciate you, comrades. Again, we will hear from Comrade Francisco Chavo Romero of Union del Barrio. Unfortunately, Jennifer Jones and Kalanji Changa will not be joining us on today to speak on the Leonard Peltier defense. However, we have our longtime comrade Don Lawson, who will be, taking their place. But we want to salute those comrades for preparing some of what will be said on today. Again, we want to salute our attorneys. You're going to hear, we want to remind people, if you go to handsoffuhuru.org, on the website, you can look up the court documents, and you can see all of the court documents that have been filed. This includes the Uhuru 3 appeal. Before we speak a little bit more into what else to expect on today, we just wanted to remind everybody about the devastation that has occurred in North St. Louis. As we know, on May 16th, there was a EF3 tornado that tore through parts of North St. Louis, particularly striking the majority of the damage in the north side, which is the African community. And the devastation is just horrendous. If you have been on the ground to St. Louis, I had a chance to go out last month. We encourage others to go and, pay attention and, get involved in helping in some of the relief efforts for the damage. Here you're seeing some of the images. These are just a few, and there are so many more, but just the devastation to the African community. Again, Chairwoman Penny can kind of elaborate on some of this, but because she's there on the ground as well. But it's very clear that the community had to come together because the city, told the people to even, to not self-deploy and to not get on the ground and, and to, repair the damage, but then who would? And so here we are seeing so much of the damages, cars, people not being able to even take shelter because the alarm, and the siren didn't go off. And so, as a result of that, 7 people died, lost their lives because they were, not able to take cover to something as routine as, knowing how to, push a button. And so lives were lost, and we're saying people must be held accountable, and the people are taking up the responsibility of restoring, um, you know, not just the, physical damage, but also just the morale of the community. So I just really want to salute the North Side, and salute the Uhuru Movement, who is also on the North Side, who is, working with the community to help restore North St. Louis. And here's just some more images. And as we go through the other images, I'll just maybe turn it to Chairwoman Penny to kind of talk us through as we're going about how things are looking on the ground. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru. Well, I mean, the pictures say it all, and it was incredible devastation in the North Side, which is 97% African, and a huge percentage of the population living below the poverty line. And, as compared to another white suburb where the tornado went through, that was very wealthy. It was completely different situation there in terms of people. And this has been a powerful struggle led by the Uhuru Movement and the Northside Independent Neighborhood Association
Yeah.
that is struggling fiercely with the city to take this on, to bring resources to the people, to turn loose they have the settlement of the Rams sports team. The city is flush with resources, as one of the pictures shows a sign saying that. And yet they have not totally released them to the people who, in fact, they posted 5,000 houses in the North Side as condemned and turned off their electricity. So they can't fix it. So they can't fix this. So this is, just the struggle that's going on. And again, the Uhuru Movement, the NINA, the Northside Independent Neighborhood Association, has just done a powerful job in not only taking on the city, but galvanizing the community itself. And many supporters have donated important, needed materials and food, which the Uhuru Movement, African People's Socialist Party, have been out there around the Uhuru House giving out these needed resources to the people. Just to say, the Uhuru House is right in the middle of where the tornado touched down. It's not on the sidelines. It's right there, and you can go down these blocks, and every single house no longer has a roof. But as has been said, the African working class community itself just came together, self-deployed, brought their own chainsaws from other neighborhoods, that kind of thing, and started dealing with and getting the trees out of the streets where you couldn't even drive. So there's a lot to say, but this is again another example of how colonialism affects the African working class on every front. How, regardless, including the weather and disasters and this kind of thing. So again, we're fighting, the party is fighting, leading, and we will win. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chairman Penny, yes, and I just want to appreciate, what you were just kind of laying out. And, again, this was a tornado with winds of up to 165 miles an hour. And this, as we said, ripped through the community, and, over 5,000 homes and properties damaged. And so and I was, one thing that's not in the slideshow, which I meant to put in, was even you'll see in the Washington Post or one of those, bourgeois colonial media was talking about how, because what's happening is this land grab, and because of all this devastation, you have the
Yes.
city, trying to, kind of, write it off. And this is similar to Katrina. And so, it's this, that it can no longer be ignored. And however they want to sum it up, gentrification is colonialism, it's colonialism. And so
Right.
this is a really important struggle, and we just want everyone to be aware of and to share that information with people who aren't, hearing about this as it should be reported on in the news, in the, bourgeois colonial news. And so just want to also thank you to our MC, to our Zoom tech. We're want to just, again, reiterate our unconditional solidarity with the Mexican and Indigenous resistance. And here are just some photos. We're going to hear from Comrade Chavo, who's going to say more later on. But again, just to salute, the fight back again under this current, administration. We continue to see deportations. Hundreds. In this case, hundreds of residents, and this was actually outdated, but have been deported. Many who had, green cards. We want to salute our comrades from Union del Barrio, who this photo was from them coming to in a mobilization for the Uhuru movement back in 2023 during the fight back. Just a great, shot of these comrades, and just want to really salute them, them and the other organizations that, the Community for Self-Defense Coalition, for their support on the ground, helping to provide leadership for the people, who are fighting back, and who see this as an attack as well. And so there's a press conference on June 6th. You can, follow Union's Facebook page. These comrades are doing really important and amazing work on the ground in the front lines, and, and have also come under attack because of this. And this is what we're going to hear from Comrade Chavo, may be able to say a little bit more on today. On today, we won't go into this too much, but we will be having this comrade back with us. Comrade President Yeshitela took the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign back to Cuba this year, just a couple months ago, with the LA Hands Off Cuba committee during that delegation. Again, just so many gains and opportunities to, unite the struggle against colonialism wherever we are. And I just want to salute that comrade who was able to attend international conference, for solidarity for Cuba, who was able to make some very important, relationships in helping to extend the Hands Off Uhuru front, back onto the ground in the Caribbean, in Cuba. And here's a picture on the left with Comrade Leah, who was also out there in Cuba as well. So we had our solidarity comrades there as well. So just want to say salute to Comrade President Yejide for your taking this campaign out there. And again, we salute the comrade Leonard Peltier, who is home, and a powerful victory for those who led that fight. Chairwoman Penny shared this image of Comrade Leonard on his motorcycle, and from the first photos of him being released to really being at home. And there's a lot more to be said about how the transition has been, which we'll hear from Comrade Don Lawson on today. But again, it's just great to see Leonard out from behind that dungeon. And just some exciting news for everybody. The Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign is opening a new front, a South America committee, South America front. And I just want to salute two of the comrades who have really taken on helping to build this committee. Comrades Paulo with Los Ronderos de los Redes, and Comrade Ann Hirsch, who is located in Ecuador, and helped early on with some fundraisers to help support the Uhuru 3. And Comrade Paulo has been there on the ground since as far as I can remember. And just want to salute these comrades, and we'll say more about how you can join this vibrant and exciting committee. So as I close up our opening presentation and we get into our program, again, we want to join everybody and call on you to join the Anti-Colonial Free Speech Coalition. That is the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition. Join the hundreds of organizations who have taken up the call to, unite across the political spectrum. Read our demands. Demand number 4, which talks about the right to freedom of speech, the right to freedom of assembly, and also demand number 7, the right to end the U.S. government's attacks on the Mexico, Navajo, and Indigenous people. We have, been saying this from the beginning, and so this is where you need to be. This is where your organization needs to, also link up, is with the Fight Back Coalition. And comrades, we cannot go any further without reminding everybody that this appeal costs money, and we're going to make it worth our every single penny and dimes and cents. But we are always going to be calling for donations. To go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. We are raising resources towards the appeal, $39,500 towards the cost for the appeal. And we'll say more about how that breaks down later on. But without further ado, we're going to get into our major update, the Uhuru 3 who filed their appeal. So I'm going to turn it kind of back to my co-MC, Chairwoman Penny, as we bring up our comrades and attorneys. So if that's where we are in the program, I think next. Nope.
Actually,
we're going to Don first.
We are going to go to Union del Barrio. Oh, no, we're not.
Oh.
I'm sorry. No, we're not. We're not. I'm the wrong place. Yes. All right, Comrade Jesse and Angela, and come on up. This is Comrade Jesse Nevel, one of the Uhuru 3, the chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and two of our amazing legal team. Oh, I see we have Angela Reaney, Attorney Angela Reaney. Leonard Goodman is also who wrote this amazing appeal. Very, very brilliant, and just really salute our legal team. Two of whom are here.
Uhuru, do we have Leonard? I think
Lynn could not make it, unfortunately.
Okay. So yes, Uhuru, Angela, how you doing?
Uhuru, I'm doing great, Jesse. How are you?
Good. It's great to have you here. Yes, I just want to start off this portion of the agenda by just saluting the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the Uhuru Movement, Deputy Chair Onizne Yeshitela, and it's an honor to be here to participate in another webinar with Hands Off Uhuru, with you, Chairwoman Penny, with Chair Mwezi, and with all of our amazing supporters who have made this victory possible at this stage. Every victory that has come since the July 29th, 2022 raids on the Uhuru Movement was made possible by the anti-colonial free speech movement that was built under the banner of Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa. And I just wanted to point out in that picture of Anne a second ago, she was holding a sign that said no to FBI targeting the Black Liberation Movement. And that was from 7 years ago or 8 years ago in 2017, when it was reported that the FBI had created a new designation called Black Identity Extremists. So it just shows the long struggle that obviously goes back decades and centuries of African people fighting for self-determination and resisting colonial state repression. And I'm very excited to talk with Angela Reaney, one of our brilliant attorneys who played an instrumental role in preparing for and then actually carrying out the incredible the free speech trial of the century last September, and who is also one of the co-authors of this appeal, along with Leonard Goodman and our legal team. And just want to also salute Addie Griffin, Mutaki Akbar, Tom Inskeep as well for their work in continuing to wage this struggle. And yeah, I'm really glad to have Angela Reaney with us. The appeal was filed on June 16th. Here it is, 55 pages. You can read it on handsoffahuru.org. It is a powerful document, and it's brilliantly done. I just want to say it was very, very powerful and impressive to read this. It lays out every argument that probably many people were thinking during the trial, like this can't stand, this shouldn't be allowed to happen. It's all in there. And starting with the key question of freedom of speech, that the indictment itself should never have been even permitted to proceed based on the protection of speech afforded by the First Amendment. So I'm just really happy to have Angela on, and she's going to be able to say way more about this than I could. So I just want to welcome you, Angela, and ask you to talk a little bit about this appeal, the process of putting it together, and some of the main issues and arguments that are put forward in this appeal.
Thanks, Jesse, and Uhuru, everybody. And yeah, we did file this appeal on Monday. It's very exciting. And, the main issue that we raised is about the First Amendment. So all of the conduct that the government was mad about involved the political speech, which is protected under the First Amendment. And the way they got around that in the district court is they tried to say, well, we are saying you did it at the behest of Russia, so therefore it's not speech anymore. So that's the issue that we're raising. And, it's pretty clear that the First Amendment covers this speech, and we're arguing that, no, this is the same protected speech that they've engaged in for decades, and it doesn't lose its protection here. There's no case in the history of the United States that has held that political speech can turn into an act. So, and then so I think that was your first question, right, about the First Amendment issue. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And on that question, thank you, Angela. On the question of the First Amendment, one of the things that is so significant about this appeal is the potential that the appeal has to establish very far-reaching and highly consequential precedent in terms of case law in this country that has to do with constraining the ability of the US government to use these laws to criminalize speech. And, I think that's something that's becoming increasingly understood. It's the appeal. One of the objectives of the appeal, obviously, is to get the conviction of the chairman and the Uhuru Three reversed on the bogus conspiracy charge. But there are even deeper and longer lasting goals than that have to do with the impact that this can have on the law itself and the First Amendment and these foreign agents laws. So if you could just talk a little bit about how this appeal seeks to actually impact the law through setting this precedent.
Yeah, so we have a huge opportunity to set really good precedent in this appeal. So in the federal system, the appeals courts are divided into different circuits. And down in Florida, we're in the 11th Circuit. So that's up in Atlanta, Georgia. If we get a favorable ruling in this case, it means all of the states in the 11th Circuit would have to follow that opinion. They couldn't prosecute any other activists like the Middle District of Florida did here for political speech. So that would be huge. But not only that area, there's not really another case that's addressed this. So the other circuits would look at this and likely follow it if we were to win this on appeal. And that would be huge because we don't want to see the government, start targeting other activist groups for speech just because they're cooperating with another government. It's clearly a First Amendment right that we're able to associate and speak how we want to, and that's protected. So we want to make sure to set that precedent. So we'll cover everybody that way. All other groups, they won't have that fear. And part of it is what the effect that this had was it does chill your free speech, right? And that's something you'll hear in a lot of the case law is about the worry about chilling free speech. So I'm sure this has chilled free speech. I'm sure other organizations have thought twice about their associations and how they want to move forward. And that shouldn't happen. And we want to change that.
Thank you, Angela. I really appreciate what you're saying. And I think it speaks to the point that the chairman was making, right when this happened, that the attack on the Uhuru movement, as he said, was the canary in the coal mine that really set the stage. And, we need to remember, as people do, that this attack on the Uhuru movement was unleashed under the Biden administration, which really set the foundation for the ongoing intensification of attacks on anti-colonial free speech that have continued to escalate under the Trump administration. And we've seen students, Palestinians, and other Arab students and African students being deported or being detained without having access to an attorney. We're seeing the attacks and threats against Union del Barrio and other organizations by the Senate, by Josh Hawley, and it's clearly, shows that this case continues to be the tip of the spear for the fight for anti-colonial free speech, and its implications are huge for anybody and everybody that cares about free speech. So I just really salute the work that you've done on this, Angela. And I also wanted to ask you about some of the other issues that are raised in the appeal.
Okay, we do. I'm sorry,
Yes.
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Angela.
Okay. No, I appreciate that, and thank you. And I just following up on the First Amendment issue is, Jesse's completely right. This is the government is trying to chip away at the First Amendment, and this is how they're doing it, which is so important, why it's so important that we wage this battle with the government over a First Amendment issue. Now, we did raise some other issues, and there's that are, we could win on one of these other issues, and they may not even address the First Amendment if they can't. One of these issues is we call it sufficiency of the evidence, which covers several of our arguments. That means we're just saying the government didn't produce the evidence at trial that's necessary to prove that the Uhuru Three committed this crime they're alleging that they did. So under that, the government didn't produce any evidence that that the Uhuru Three acted at the direction or control of a foreign government. And, the FBI agents conceded this repeatedly. You'll see in the appeal brief, we're citing to the agents saying, no, they didn't do this because Russia told them. They did this because this is what they believe in. Even the FBI agents had caught on that these are sincerely held beliefs, and Russia wasn't influencing that. The other argument we're making is they convicted the Uhuru Three on the conspiracy. So the jury did actually find that they didn't actually act at the direction or control on the acts that they alleged in the indictment, at least. And part of that is there's this registration requirement. The government conceded it's okay to work with Russia, but you have to register to do it. And there's this registration requirement that most people don't even know exists unless you're in the business of working with other countries at a very higher level, not an activist. You don't know about this requirement. Well, they didn't have to prove that they didn't know, what we call this, it makes it essentially a strict liability crime, which is like a traffic ticket. And
Right.
Only with a traffic ticket, you get a fine, right? And then here up to 5 years in prison on this conspiracy charge, which the courts have definitely looked against. We don't like locking people up when they don't know they did something wrong. So we raised that. And again, the FBI agents conceded in the trial that there was no knowledge of this requirement. We have a lot of good support for that argument. So I'm really excited about that. The other argument related to that is they didn't prove that the people that you worked with were actually connected to the Russian government.
Right.
So that's another argument that we raised there. We had, an argument that the jury instructions, so the instructions sent back to the jury, were really confusing on this conspiracy charge. That was coupled with the prosecutor took advantage of that in closing and, made it sound like just because the Uhuru Three worked with Russia, it was a partnership and that's all they needed. And that's clearly not the law. So we're appealing that. And a couple other issues. We shouldn't have been considered in a conspiracy along with the first defendant in the appeal. And we asked to be tried separately because the acts had nothing to do with the Uhuru Three. They were completely separate. And then we do have the prosecutorial misconduct argument that the government made a few false accusations, and we're arguing that's misconduct and it warrants a reversal. So those are our arguments. I'm really excited about the brief. I think it turned out great. I really feel good about it. You can never, ever know for sure what's going to happen, but it's really got some great arguments, some great support from other cases.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Angela. This is really, really exciting. And yeah, I just want to say a lot of the people I've talked to who were at the trial we're very pleased to hear that prosecutorial misconduct was among the issues raised in the appeal, just based on what people witnessed, the lies and dirty tricks that people saw the prosecutors pull throughout the course of that trial. So I know we're coming to the close here, so I just wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about the next steps. Where does it go from here? The appeal brief has been filed, so what happens next?
So this is a very long process. There's nothing fast about an appeal. So the government has a due date to file their response to us. They can ask for more time. They'll probably get more time to file. Then after they file, we get to reply to what they've said. So then we're going to wait and see if the government, the 11th Circuit, grants us oral argument. And I think that will be the case because of the nature of the issues that we've raised. And they will set a date for us to argue, and that will be in Atlanta at the Court of Appeals in Atlanta. So, as far as how long this could take, it's so hard to tell, but it is going to be a long process. I would say we won't see an opinion for at least a year is my guess.
All right. Well, thank you, Angela. Anything else you wanted to say before we move from here?
No, it's an exciting appeal. I'm so honored to work on it and work with you guys. And thank you.
Uhuru. Thank you, Angela. Salute to you. Salute to all of the other anti-colonial free speech attorneys. It's been an honor to work with all of you and very excited about the fight that lies ahead. So forward to victory. Uhuru.
We are winning.
Wow. Thank you so much, Attorney Angela. Thank you for leading that section. The Uhuru Movement attorney as well, or attorney in training, Chair Jesse Nevel, who was really, significant, played a significant role as well in the Uhuru fight back under the leadership of the chairman. And I just want to say that I just really want to appreciate that segment and encourage everyone to go back and continue to listen to and share that and, take this information into your meetings and with others, who are also dealing with how to deal with this fight back. Because again, the attacks are widespread. And I think that this is a great example and, blueprint for us in the legal fight back as well. So thank you, Comrade Attorney Angela and the Uhuru 3 legal team. So, Chairman Penny, I'm gonna just wanted to make a quick reminder for everybody to we are always still raising resources, as Comrade Attorney Angela just laid out some of the length of time that all this will take, and we want to be able to be victorious in being able to achieve the financial needs as well. So go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate, contribute to the fight back. And we want to thank those actually who have already donated. I just want to give a quick shout out to some of our donors, and we'll say more about how these comrades have donated. But Johan, we want to appreciate Johan, we want to appreciate Michael, and we want to appreciate Don as well. So we'll give a quick update in just a moment on that. But thank you, comrades, for getting us started. And let's go ahead and bring up Comrade Don, and then we'll people tuning in from all over. So I want to make a chance to announce that as well. So Don, we'll bring you up now, comrade. Thank you so much.
Uhuru.
Leonard is still very much in BOP custody. I'm listening to the First Amendment. It does not apply to him at all. He has got so many things that he is not allowed to talk about. We're trying to figure out if he's allowed to talk about not being allowed to talk about things. He says it's an awesome new cell, but it's still a cell. He is not going blind in solitary confinement, and that is everything. But, the man wants to be a spokesman for his people. He's got a message. He does not harbor bitterness. He wants reconciliation and healing. But he has a message and he can't give it. He's not allowed to talk. So the work isn't done. But I can't talk about that for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
So, there's a myth that when you're on a reservation, the tribe takes care of you. And everybody keeps saying, well, the tribe will take care of Leonard as far as his health care goes. I just found out the other day he still has infected teeth. I mean, they keep putting off his eye surgery. A lot of things I thought would be taken care of immediately have not been addressed yet. I just remembered today he was supposed to have diabetic shoes back in prison. I've got to find out if he has diabetic shoes yet. They told him dentures would be a 3 to 5 month wait. And Leonard Peltier is not going to wait 3 to 5 months for dentures. He's waited decades. As soon as they can get fitted, his supporters have, they're being extremely generous, and we will get him dentures.
Well, it's great to have you, Dawn. I just wanted to say, it's really profound to have you on, and of course, we want to salute Comrade Jennifer and Comrade Kalonji, who have been with us, and just say that that it's so important that the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, was one of the first organizations that joined Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa, and it's just been a profound part of this whole movement for anti-colonial free speech. So really just appreciate you and the work of the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. And I just wanted to, we've seen some of the videos of Leonard in, being greeted by his community, by the Indigenous people. Very powerful. We showed some of that last month. And I wanted to ask you, what will continue with the legal front? Is there, you said, clearly the government was forced to release him, but he is basically still under
he's
state
being
supervision.
controlled by the BOP. And he has more restrictions now than he had when he was in prison. So obviously the legal work is not done, but I can't talk about it for a lot of
That's
different
fine.
reasons.
Yeah. Right.
There are people out there. I was talking to somebody this morning. We're still dealing with COINTELPRO, Homeland Security, whatever the hell you want to call it. Infiltrators. I don't know how people can live with themselves. I believe that lying is a sickness. I'm not talking about lying to the police. That kind of stuff. Other people's secrets I will take to the grave. But, who I am is who I am. And there are, Leonard, he's got the best people in the world at his back, and he's got the worst. It's an odd dichotomy, but good will triumph over evil. I want to believe that. I've got to believe that.
Well, I just wanted to say that we wanted to just show a brief statement, some of the statements that Leonard Peltier made, and I just want to show this video before we move on to the next segment. But Lisa, if you could start that.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't think I was going to make it. I'm proud of the positions I've taken to help fight for our rights, for survival. I was 13 years old in 1958 when they came to Turtle Mountains here, and they said that we got to be terminated. They were the second reservation to be chosen for termination. The Menominee were the first one. I can honestly, happily, and proudly say I was at those demonstrations. I was there.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, that is Leonard. I mean, he has got such a message, and he needs to be able to carry it. So the work isn't done. And we're going to win just like you guys are going to win.
Yes. The struggle's not over. It's not over, as we say with the Uhuru 3. It's not over with Comrade Leonard Peltier, freedom fighter. I love this picture.
Yeah.
Him on his motorcycle. in
Yeah,
his,
I agree. I used to get so excited when he got an hour in the yard to see the sun because he hardly ever saw the sun. Now he's sunbathing. You
great.
know, I'd love to get him some good patio furniture and all that, but you know, we're worried about dentures. He did ask for people to take up a collection for a sewing machine. And I had no idea what he was up to. And I found out that he wanted to hem his Levi's because they're too long. And I tried getting a size out of him so I could get him a new pair. And you haven't met stubborn until you've met Leonard Peltier. No, I want these Levi's. I'm going to hem.
All right. Well, that is so powerful. And, you know, just please put out the website, Dawn.
Absolutely.
People can go, they can find out more, they can make donations, they can, you know, get the updates.
Yeah, we have video that's going to be coming out and announcements. There's a lot going on.
Uhuru. And it's free.
FreeLeonardPeltierNow.org. I just put that in there.
Okay, freeleonardpeltier.org. LeonardPeltierNow.org.
And we have got announcements. I wish I could open my mouth and just say everything, but
No, but we know, you know, we just please give him the.
yeah, there is the, you know, you've got to have a strategy. You know, California has been, you know what's going on in California. I mean, they have deployed the military in California. They're hanging out at Home Depot. You know.
Yep. And we're going to be talking about that. Oh, go ahead, Chair. We're going to be talking about that too, Don, and I hope you can stay on even for our next presentation.
Yeah, Leonard predicted this 50 years ago. He said, if you don't fight for your civil rights, you're going to lose them, and we've done lost them.
Well, the struggle continues, and we have to win.
Thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for standing strong through all of this.
Yes.
Thank you so much, comrade.
Thank you, Don. Salute to you.
And you were the one that said not one more year.
That's right. That was Chairman Omali Yeshitela.
Not one more year for Leonard Peltier.
It happened.
Uhuru. Yes.
Not one more year. Uhuru.
Uhuru. It's not what we say, it's what we do. And we got that comrade out, and there's so much more, many more struggles and victories on the way. So yeah, thank you, Don. Great to have you on. We hope you can stay in case others have questions a little bit later in the program. Great.
Absolutely.
All right. So great. That was a great report. And again, just want to salute the victory of Leonard Peltier is home. And there's some really great comments and notes in the chat. So we'll make sure that we get to some of that in the upcoming sections. However, we're going to move on with our program. Chairwoman Penny, I just wanted to say quickly where people are tuning in from, because we have some people coming, you know, who are tuning in from all over. So just quickly, as we get ready to bring up our comrades from Union, I want to salute those who are tuning in from Los Angeles, from Oakland, from Brooklyn, Missouri's in the house, particularly North St. Louis, New Jersey. We also have comrades from British Columbia in Canada and Montreal in Canada. So salute to the, Canadian front. Also Baltimore, Boston, Ecuador. We also have comrades here from Minneapolis, Gainesville, Florida, Louisville, Newcastle, Pennsylvania, Denver, Colorado, Chicago, Illinois. And I think I got everybody. And also want to salute WBAI 99.5, who are also on the call as well.
Great.
So
great. I see Africa. There are comments from Africa.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Uhuru. Oh, okay. I didn't write that down. So thank you. Salute to our comrades on the continent who are, yes, I see Comrade Kelly. Uhuru, comrade. Great to see you, Africa. And just want to say, comrades, that we are getting closer towards our goal. So we are actually over halfway towards our goal.
Wow.
We usually try to raise however much we can, but we have raised 1,195 already on today's webinar. So go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate if you want to be counted in today's win as well. So thank you everybody who's donated so far, and we'll come back and really, thank you later on in the program. So, all right, now without further ado, Chairwoman Penny, should we bring up our comrade Francisco Chavo Romero with Union del Barrio? Comrade Francisco has also prepared a presentation for today, so we'll make sure that we, give you time to do that in the way it needs to be done. So, here we go. My screen just went kind of like, all right, great. So, Uhuru compa.
Uhuru comrades, saludos to everyone. Hope you can hear me. I'm gonna kick right in. This presentation honoring the time that everybody is carving out to join us today. There's a lot to share, but just want to first start off with, on behalf of Union del Barrio, much appreciation for the invitation and also for the updates on that very critical, reports that we've been hearing earlier in the program. I happen to have been present through most of the trial, and some of the lessons learned there, we're bringing them here into what is occurring on the streets of Los Angeles and beyond. And so what we want to do today is give a short presentation, a global outlook on how we're seeing things unfold here in Los Angeles and what it means for the rest of the cities where our raza is at. So I'm gonna kick off with a short presentation and go from there. Let's kick off. So taking it back a few months, right before the end of 2024, anticipating that Trump, before he came into power, had already been campaigning on launching what they were saying would be the largest ever in history mass deportation campaign ever witnessed. And so what we did as Union del Barrio, we called for the unity of forces on the ground here in Los Angeles and in San Diego and in North County, San Diego and beyond. We were promoting the idea that we needed to all organize ourselves and unite. So we formed a coalition called the Coalition for the Coalition for Self-Defense of the Community. And it really, we had standing room only in the first convening of this meeting of organizations. We asked folks to send 2 reps from each organization, and it was still overflowing because folks were also hearing what we were hearing. And so what we started doing is organizing trainings to do what we as Union del Barrio have been doing since our inception, really in 1981, when we're doing patrols that were formed, actually that were inspired by, and we adopted it from our ancestors and the leadership that still is, here with us, the presence of that resistance of the Black Panther Party, right? So the Black Panther Party in Oakland were doing the patrols, right? So that inspiration, we adopted it and adapted it to our conditions there in San Diego, which was also around the question of police brutality, but then increasingly so because it's so close to the U.S. colonial imperial border that divides our lands, that there's border patrols agents everywhere and all the other forces that they deploy in the barrios. So we started spreading the concept of community self-defense through patrolling. In other words, working to identify these operations to capture and kidnap our people before they're able to, even kind of initiate their move towards their target for that day, right? And again, right now, they're trying to meet a quota, right? They're under pressure to meet a quota. So they've deployed from all over different states, not only the actual agents that were already, moving, but they're, moving to deputize and invite, others, meaning others such as the white nationalist, racist, white supremacist forces, right? Among which are within the ranks and outside the ranks. So they're trying to make an example of Los Angeles. So I want to describe to you what has happened since January, February, when we launched the coalition to now. So we started organizing a wide range of a network of communication amongst our people all across Los Angeles County. And this is also taking place, of course, in San Diego, where our organization was founded. In fact, that's where we're drawing from inspiration from, that trajectory of the struggle on the front lines there in Barrio Logan and beyond. And we're developing a network and also approach and tactics of how we know the police forces, but also now the immigration forces, migra, we call them poli-migra, right? Police migra forces are collaborating to attempt to capture our people. So, these are some of the things that we were doing, like even describing to folks, hey, if you see an undercover vehicle right there, it's likely when there's one, there's multiple, right? And so we started talking to people like, be aware of your surroundings, organize yourself, started learning each other through social media, through text, through phone calls, through whatever it means. Bike it, talk to your neighbors, whatever it takes to spread the word to defend our communities. So what is it that we're up against? So we're up against a massive billion-dollar backed militarized force, repressive, that has been actually relentless since its founding in the beginning stages of the settler colonial kind of project and initiative, right? Going back centuries, right? When this one person, Christopher Columbus, I believe the name was, got lost at sea and landed, and we know the rest of that history, right? We are going to focus on speaking to the question of Customs Border Protection and ICE, which have two branches, right? We want to kind of speak to that. But as you can see right at the top of the Department of Homeland Security structure, and there you see their secretary there, they are advised straight across by the military. So it is a military force that we're dealing with. So just a sample, this agent, for example, with this weapon is in South Central, right? We have undercovers. We have the Christie Gnome coming and flying in the other day to do a spectacle and a show of how they're going to try to continue to kidnap our people. We have immigration agents, federal agents, and now really a blur between who knows which agency we're dealing with, because they're not identifying themselves. It was easier to identify early on, but they're switching up their tactics because our community was holding the line of self-defense. So now they're resorting to other tactics, so we're going to share in a bit. But they're all over the place in these undercover vehicles, but now blatantly so, they're just rolling in with straight out Border Patrol vehicles now. But why is it that they could do that? Let's talk a little bit about some of the attacks that are happening. So while they're simultaneously deploying and attacking our people in the streets and kidnapping, our people and taking them to interrogation centers, etc., they're also on a political front, and like the semblance and the seeds for a legal maybe kind of front, they're throwing a shot over the bow and saying, hey, we've got our eyes on you. And this letter is a testament to that. We're one of 3 organizations that received this particular letter, which essentially is saying that our organization is culpable for aiding, abetting, providing material and logistical support and resources for the uprising. Now, this thing at this point has like really no legal teeth to it. It's sort of like saying voluntary surrender, and we're doubling down our efforts. We're not backing down. We're continuing to organize, despite the military presence on the streets as we speak right now, here in Los Angeles and throughout, but also into the future, because the Trump just came out a couple of days back saying we're going to quadruple, triple down and send more troops, right? So what is happening here? Well, there is a straight out war on our raza here. They're trying to crush our spirit of resistance. They're trying to crush the communities, losing fear of understanding that we do have a right to self-determination. We do have a right to self-defense on our lands as an indigenous people to this continent and these territories in particular. So we don't know how many hundreds, if not thousands, of agents that are, migra are here. All the different elements of CBP, which is field operations and the Border Patrol, but also with ICE, which is Homeland Security Investigations and the Office of Removal, right? The Enforcement and Removal Office. We're also dealing with the collaboration of LAPD and the sheriffs and municipal cops departments from all the surrounding cities in Los Angeles County. Recall, Los Angeles County has 88 cities. LA is one of those 88, the largest, of course, but all these other municipalities either have sheriffs or their own police force. And so it's pretty massive what we're up against. And then now, there's been orders to shift a lot of the other federal agencies to focus their priorities on immigration-related, quote-unquote, immigration-related matters. So they're shifting FBI, they're shifting DEA agents, IRS, and the ATF. IRS, why? Well, they're looking into people's records and things like that, right? So, that hasn't even yet gotten to the point of the deployment, as the sister said earlier, of the 4,100 National Guard. First, they deployed the California Guard, but they're mobilizing other guard to come. And so they just dispatched the second half. The 2,000 were already here. The second half are en route. They're landing as we speak by boat, by train, by plane. They're coming in however they can. Even in their own personal vehicles are coming. We're hearing reports of. And then they brought in the Marines. So this, again, is all to attempt to crush the spirit of resistance and organization that our community has held. And so people say, what is like something like the Border Patrol, for example, doing in Bakersfield? What are they doing so far deep into many of the Los Angeles cities? What they're doing is using the policy around the 100-mile range within a port of entry or coastline. So look at Florida, for example. Florida is a testing ground for all their things that they want to do. They were testing them out over there, and now they're bringing them here pretty heavily. So Florida, if you go from the Atlantic on one end 100 miles, and then on the from the Golfo de Mexico on the other end, you're pretty much the whole state is under this thing. So that's why Border Patrol's all over the place. So this and Border Patrol particularly has, well, this Customs and Border Protection, the two divisions, but Border Patrol in particular has this extra authority to board vessels, to get onto trains, onto buses. And so that's why they're here, right? Because they have that extra tool to penetrate into our barrios and the way we travel around our communities. But they're now frustrated, desperate to meet these quota that they are becoming increasingly, they are violent by their very nature of its existence. And because they have to maintain the settler colonial state. It's a violent by its own roots, right? But they're becoming increasingly physically aggressive and violent in the streets against community. They're starting to chase people down. They're deploying tear gas. They're deploying tear gas munitions that they say are non-lethal, but they're very, very lethal. And we call it chemical warfare. The rubber bullets that they shoot, they're pointing them right at folks' faces. I was a gentleman in front of me that was videoing the other day on what we are calling the Battle of Paramount and Compton, where the people held the line and saw 100 agents of the Border Patrol that were about to try to dispatch out. The people held them, and it was a straight out battle of what we call Battle of Paramount and Compton. That is why they brought in the National Guard, so that the National Guard can relieve the Border Patrol to be able to go out and capture not just the Border Patrol, but all the other agencies. So they're there to guard these. What you're seeing here on the screen here on the map They're using different naval base, a naval reserve base. Their Terminal Island, which is a Coast Guard base down at the bottom there. In the center there where it says Compton off to the right, that's the Paramount Compton Center. We believe that's their center of operations, control and command, because that's really where they have a lot of the guard outside of downtown, which is cordoned off right now and militarized to the teeth. There in the middle, you see what they were using the post office, which is a federal facility to also use as staging ground. And off to the left, under Marina del Rey, there you'll see what you're seeing there is the airport, because the Customs Border Protection already had a base of operations there. So they're using all these freeways to do what we're now calling snatch and grab, right? Snatch and grab, like what you're seeing here, where they're deploying units in one vehicle, one grab vehicle in the front, a van in the middle, another grab vehicle in the back. They're pulling up, chasing folks, our people, cuffing, tossing our gente into these vehicles and shooting off to the freeway to these interrogation centers. Papers, documents, or not. They're not even dealing with that. They're interrogating and coercing and brutalizing the people in these centers. That is the current conditions. But the people, I will end with this, is the people are uprising, are organizing, are joining organizations. The concept of the theory that we started, that again was adopted from the Black Panther Party of community self-controls, has spread like wildfire. And we're hearing chatter from collectives and organizations in every neighborhood of Los Angeles beginning to do the same. So once they see them, they're detecting, they're engaging, they're alerting the community, stay in. Like right now, right here in my neighborhood where I'm at, which is Southeast LA, they are, like the people, another mechanism of self-defense is just lock the door and keep an eye out. And so right now it's like a ghost town in all the barrios, and the Border Patrol, we're getting reports. They're just getting susceptible people that are on their own. I will end by saying that the power of coalition and the leadership, we would say, of Union del Barrio, and convening all these amazing forces that have come to join the front lines, it's such a beautiful and powerful thing. I will end there and say, Uhuru comrades, they're not going anywhere, and they're trying to crush the Los Angeles example so it doesn't spread to New York and Chicago, but it's too late. It is too late. Our community has already determined that we're going to keep going forward, onward, until victory.
Yes.
That's it.
Uhuru, what a great way to sum that up. That was a great photo that we just had on there. I was just taking that in as well. Komba, I just really want to appreciate that report, because part of it is what it shows the power of organization. And we understand that, like that's the greatest weapon that we have as the oppressed, as the colonized, is organization. And it completely just delegitimizes, their attempt to, have any type of authority over whose land is what. And I think I just really want to salute Union and the, committees for defense, everybody who has, come together to, like you said, restore hope and, and the ability for the people to organize in our best interest. And this is a really powerful fight back, and everyone can, get involved remotely, by, even just, helping even at your dinner tables. And when, people are talking about this, to really, remind people about who are the real criminals. And that's those who came and, snatched this land as they had African captives and, and just, have been oppressing the indigenous people of these lands for centuries. So salute to you, comrade, and the whole, leading body of Union as well. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Yeah. Uhuru.
Uhuru. That was powerful. That was powerful. Powerful victory.
Yeah.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. We are winning.
Thank you, Francisco Chavo.
Yeah, thank you, comrades. I'm gonna go off camera and just say that there's more campaigning work happening. Be on the lookout. Much appreciation, Uhuru.
Thank you. And Chavo, if you are staying on for the Q&A, and or if you can drop in the chat like the social media and other links for Union, so others can follow as well.
Right on.
Thank you, Uhuru.
Thank you.
All right. This is very exciting program, comrades. The anti-colonial fight back is winning. And we're gonna, Chairman Penny, I'm just gonna take us back to our, sorry, I'm trying to find my correct, there we go. Take us back to our program because we're gonna now show a video of our chairman. And we have a clip that we're going to show. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody and thank actually those who have already gone to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. I do want to announce that so far, comrades, we have raised a total of $1,322 towards the Uhuru 3 appeal. So salute to everyone who, kicked us off in some great donations that we're going to announce shortly. But before we do that, we just want to again salute just the profound leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Without the chairman's leadership in this fight back for the Uhuru 3, it wouldn't have just, we were able to not just attack this on its, very shaky legal basis, but also on the, understanding this as a political attack, and a centuries old attack on the, struggle for liberation for Africa, African people and Indigenous people. And so I just really want to salute my leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and his leadership throughout the Uhuru 3 fight back. And so I'm going to turn it over to our Zoom tech, who's going to show a clip, and then we're going to go into our appeal. So thank you, comrades. Uhuru.
It's not over, that we are still engaged in an incredibly significant struggle that, as many of you know, on July 29, 2022, the United States government made an assault on the African liberation movement overall with the attack on the Uhuru Movement, the African People's Socialist Party, in two cities in this country, St. Louis, Missouri, and Washington, D.C. It's testimony to just the state of affairs in this country and in the world. That country that boasts of being the strongest, biggest, best armed country in the world would end up spending millions and millions of dollars and attacking one of the poorest sections in St. Louis, Missouri. I'll tell you, it's called Red Bud Avenue, and which is where I live right now, and using armored vehicles and using flashbang grenades and using military forces with FBI tags on their outfits, armed with assault weapons to occupy my home, the home that I share with my wife, for hours, to handcuff my wife and to zip tie me and offer us an opportunity to sit on the curb at pre-dawn. They do the same thing at the office that we have in the southern part of St. Louis, which is where the majority of the white people live. And this office is occupied by a solidarity movement that has taken the struggle of African people for reparations, and that exposes the genocide being committed against African people here and around the world on a regular basis, with meetings that happen there on a regular basis, and also with banners over their doors that this was also attacked. They use battering rams, they use armored vehicles, they knock down doors, they use what they call flashbang grenades or stun grenades and what have you, to frighten the people, terrorize the people who are in the place, and to terrorize people in the neighborhood to convince them that they should not be associated with us. This is the United States government that has been making war, supporting war, facilitating war of extermination in Palestine, killing thousands and thousands of Palestinian people in this small area that they call Gaza. And this is not a moment where I'm going to just talk about the significance of Palestine, in the sense that many people have recognized for the longest period of time that Palestine has been the key to the Arab Revolution. It has been the key to changing everything that's in this area that they call the Middle East, which was been defined, maps drawn, and things like that, and named by Europe, colonizers. The same military forces that have been orchestrating what we're going to be talking about shortly the war against Russia, using Ukraine as a vehicle and as cannon fodder to make that happen. They would be attacking us. They would be attacking the African Revolution to us. This is testimony not only to how significant Palestine is to the Arab Revolution, but the significance of Africa and African people to the revolution in general. We'll say some things about that moving forward. I want to say that this meeting is going to be happening Saturday, April 5th, and people can register to attend this conference at handsoffuhuru.org, handsoffuhuru.org/register. On April 12th and 13th, which is a Saturday and Sunday also, the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations will be hosting, I think, what is the 9th electoral campaign school that we have done, and which I think is one of the critical basis for the United States government attack on us as well, because we've robbed them of this sanctuary place where only the African petty bourgeoisie who are at the service of white liberals have been able to occupy the space and to pretend and to give the impression to the world and to us sometimes that they represent what it is that we want, what we think of what African people want. And we're saying we've organized this this movement and this school to train people to demystify the whole concept of elections and the electoral process, and to make it impossible for the African petty bourgeoisie, I'm talking about middle class and milksops and lick spittles, who usually work more for the liberal sector of the white ruling class, to rob them of this monopoly on the electoral process, that they kill Malcolm to keep us out of, that they killed King to keep us out of, that they attacked and destroyed the Black Panther Party as a means of preventing the questions and issues that are critical to our struggle against colonialism from being something that the masses of people in this country, Africans certainly, but there are other people in this country as well who have the ability to unite with the struggle against colonialism, given an opportunity. And the electoral process is that process that has been made legitimate, and where doors are supposed to be open, giving people an opportunity to share ideas and struggle around questions. But if they kill Malcolm, if they kill Panthers, if they kill King and forces who would be representative of the ideas that that needs to be part of a program for the liberation of African people, then of course that's never something that will happen. And the only thing you're left with is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Kennedys and the Clintons and other things like that in the Democratic Party. And because we attacked that, creating this electoral school, and this is the thing that we're asking you to participate in on the 12th and 13th of this month. Come and participate in this, where we're training people to be able to engage in the electoral process and don't have to worry now that this process we're engaged in somehow makes you a lackey, makes you somebody who's in the service of anti-revolution project. So that's going to be April 12th and 13th. And it's going to include some incredibly significant forces that of our own. Professor Ikemba Ojori, who will be one of the presenters, and Dr. Masamela Odom, who heads the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, and who has been involved in the struggle for liberation, as has Ojori. On the right side of the question, there's Chimarenga Slambayo, who is out of Florida, and he himself has run for office at different times on an anti-colonial platform and been ganged up on by all of the bourgeoisie, the ruling class, and what have you, because of that. But he's become a go-to person in terms of how to deal with these questions. And so he's going to be one of the presenters. And Akilia Nai, who at one juncture was threatened with indictment by the federal government because of her relationship to the African People's Socialist Party, and whose house, who was handcuffed at 6 o'clock in the morning there in St. Petersburg, Florida, and threatened with the same kind of thing that they threatened me and Penny Hess and Jesse Nevel, who were members of the African People's Solidarity Committee with. And then there's Comrade Charles Barron, who has been elected on several times, maybe spent something, maybe 40 years or so as an elected official out of New York City on the city council. Mungaza, who was with the Phil Mungaza, she will be one of the people who will be presenting. So I wanted to say that you can go to Black is Back, Court and Actions of Donald John Trump to the as a consequence of becoming U.S. president, and the kinds of things that Trump is accused of having done. First of all, is something that I just want to call attention to, because much of what he's accused of having done is stuff that the Democratic Party has done all along, and it does even now. The Democratic Party is the first entity in recent history to use the Russian gambit, to use the Russian claim, to use the Russian trope. The Democratic Party was the one that was responsible for election denial. They've claimed that of Donald Trump, but it was the Democratic Party when Hilary Clinton lost that election, to the surprise of the Democratic Party and most of the liberal establishment. When Hillary Clinton lost that election, she claimed not to have lost the election. She claimed that it was the Russians. It was the Russians who are responsible for Trump's success in the electoral process. And if you remember, they charged Trump over and over again with election denial, that he was claiming that it was rigged against him and what have you. And Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party were the ones who raised that. And Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party is responsible in the final analysis for the charge made against me, that somehow I was working for Russia because I was advancing the cause of the liberation of African people in particular, and the colonized peoples of the world in general, and especially of Africa. It was Clinton who did that. And so I think it's important to say that. And this is not an apology for Trump. What I'm saying is that you're looking at colonialism. And colonialism is the foreign and alien domination of a people for the purpose of economic exploitation, for political purposes, to the advantage of the colonizers themselves. And so we hear people now more and more talking about colonialism. They weren't talking about colonialism just a few short weeks ago. It's we in the African People's Socialist Party. I am the one who raised the colonial question. I've been writing about this since the 70s, but doing more than writing about it. We've been engaged in struggle, but somebody has said it before, and I'll say it again, that philosophers have explained the world, but the task is to change the world. And so we've been engaged in anti-colonial struggle, not just some anti-colonial discussion that you can hear increasingly today, not only by people who now claim to be leftists or claim to be a part of the struggle of African people, but even sectors of the ruling class or representatives of their mouthpieces, some who are obviously reactionary and Zionists, some who are obviously reactionary and now even attempt to justify German colonialism, which happened a long time ago. Why the hell are they talking about German colonialism today? It's because of the colonial struggle, the anti-colonial struggle that we are making today. It's the anti-colonial struggle that African People's Socialist Party has pushed back on the agenda so that it's impossible to ignore the colonial question anymore. So even when the Palestinians struck out this time, the Palestinian movement that's always been supported by the African liberation movement, now people are talking about colonialism. And so the colonialism becomes one of the ideological targets of the rulers of this country from the right and sometimes from the left. And the left sometimes not consciously so. The left talking about, I've seen several books recently by the left on settler colonialism. Now they got to talk about settler colonialism all of a sudden because they are moving also to take charge of the discussion. They take it into academia. They take it into places that will try to define it and take it away from revolutionaries who are trying to change the world as opposed to simply explaining the world. It's our struggle against colonialism and the theory that we have developed around that that's responsible for Oxford University inviting us in 2019 to come to Oxford to talk to them about the African internationalism, which is the party's theory. This is the philosophy that guides everything that we do. It's now back on the agenda, and it's something that they won't be able to control. So here we are.
Here we are. Uhuru. Yes, thank you, comrades, for showing us some segments of the chairman's statement that he made earlier at a previous presentation, at a previous Uhuru Movement presentation, and this one was from the April address that the chairman made to the African nations. So you can find that whole clip on the Burning Spear YouTube channel as well. And just to reiterate some of the points of the chairman that I just wanted to appreciate, even towards the end, the chairman, talking about some things that we just can't ignore any longer, is this, struggle around colonialism and the ideological attack. And as the chairman said, now there are, the ideological, colonialism as an ideological attack, of the ruling class. And what's exciting about that is it helps to expose this war of ideas that has been, that has always been in place. And I just think that we have a responsibility, everyone on this call, to, take it back to the colonial question, that, the question around race, the question around class, around the border, these illegitimate borders, at that, all of this, takes us back to the question of colonialism. And we have a responsibility to call it that as we fight all the symptoms and all the multiple, heads and, formations of colonialism. But these are all forms of the state, of the colonial state. So I just really want us to take serious that, because in this period, it is a war of ideas. And if we're fighting against one thing, we can sacrifice the whole movement, for our liberation. So everyone's. So just wanted to say that. Chairman Penny, did you have anything to add?
Yes, I really appreciated that presentation and every presentation that the chairman has made. And I think the point too that he has raised is that it has been the chairman, it has been the African People's Socialist Party that has defined the oppression of African and indigenous people as colonialism, not racism. And I think that it was also very powerful to see the presentation from Francisco Chavo Romero, which shows the state and the incredible resistance of the indigenous people. That is colonial conditions and colonial resistance. And so I think that is very, very, very clear and very enlightening to us, including white people, to understand that it is not the ideas in white people's heads, but the conditions of the state, the oppression backed by the army, the courts, the prisons, the military that enforce the oppression of African and indigenous people, and the struggle that the chairman, the African People's Socialist Party, is a struggle for self-determination, for freedom and liberation. And Comrade Francisco Chavo also talked about that struggle for the indigenous people. So this has been very historic today and very powerful to see.
Yes. Uhuru. Thank you, comrade. Yeah, I just want to unite with your observations as well, and to say we are winning. So we want to remind everybody to go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate, and that is my cue to actually bring up our really powerful, amazing comrade, our treasurer for Hands Off Uhuru, Comrade Amanda, who is on this steering committee and who is a member of the Uhuru Movement, the Solidarity, and just want to salute you, Comrade. You're going to give us some updates about how we've been doing in terms of raising the resources towards the appeal, and to thank all of our amazing donors. So I'll turn it over to you, Comrade Amanda Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you, Chair Mwezi. Thank you, Vice Chair Penny. And I do just want to start off the bat with thanking everyone who's donated so far today. And while I'm doing that, if our engineer can bring up the PowerPoint. But we want to thank Johan, who gave 500.
Wow.
Michael, Michael, who gave 40. Dawn gave 20. MQ gave 40. Becky gave 200. Zoe gave 75. Brendan gave 20. Leah gave 250.
Wow.
Allie gave 50. Maureen gave 52 to cover the fees of her Maureen. Stephanie gave 25. Stephen gave 10. Genevieve gave 40. Sheila gave 10. Vice Chair Penny gave 100. Uhuru. Robert gave 10, and Opa gave 50. So far today alone, we have raised $1,492. So I want to really salute all of you so far. You can keep donating. You can go to handsoffahuru.org/donate. And this is a critical part of the campaign. You heard that the appeal was filed. You heard about the next steps that are going to be happening. So it'll be moving forward. It will make a big impact on free speech for all of us. So this is really important, and we will be victorious with the support of all of you. So you can go to the next slide here. So a little update. I know we put out a different, larger number, but thanks to everyone that's pledged, contributed so far towards this phase 3 goal. It's going to be lower now because of what we raised today, but we were only needing to bring in 25,000 more by the end of July. So that's just 25 people giving $1,000 each. Some of you have already given $1,000. That's very durable. And this doesn't have to be done right now today. You can pay in installments, but we do want to get that in by our fundraising deadline by the end of July. And this is to pay the remaining retainer fee for Attorney Mutaki Akbar, and it's to pay for the oral arguments fees, as well as some smaller expenses like printing, organizational costs, and things like that. We want to start by thanking our pro bono attorney, Leonard Goodman, for his amazing work from the very beginning, and for him bringing Attorney Angela Reaney onto our team, who we got to hear from today. We also received an amazing anonymous donation of $5,000. So I want to really just take some time to salute that person. We really appreciate you, and yeah, it gives us the confidence that we can absolutely raise the funds needed for this phase of the campaign, as we have been able to do for all other phases, thanks to the support of you and of the people. So Uhuru to that person. We also have 11 organizations who have pledged $500 each by the end of July. So that totals $5,500 so far. And I want to really call on any other organization that wants to make that commitment, take that step, pledge $500, pledge $1,000 from your organization, from all of your members, to support this campaign, again, as you have been doing so far. And in addition to that, and I just want to try to read these names quickly because we've received so many other donations over the past few months, just from when this phase started. But we have Amanda S., Chess, Brendan, Robert, Linda, Paul, who did music by Paul and donated that, Penny A., Wendy, Leah again, Nancy, MQ, as always, Raya, Susan, who I believe is on today, Roland, Kat, Eric, Work, Frank, Mark F., Matzamela, Jeremy, Patrick, Bruce, Rod, Adrian, Virginia, a couple more anonymous donors, Aisha, Phoenix, Frank, Michael Novick, and there's many, many more. Jan, Isaac, and now MQ. MQ's in there a few times. I was just many times. I was just skipping around. But so thanks to all of you. That is why we are only needing less than $25,000. And I believe I got a text, but while I'm reading that, you can go to the next slide here. This is how to give. So as always, go to handsoffahuru.org/donate. And you can donate by ACH, PayPal, a donor advised fund if it's in a certain kind of bank account. You can do cryptocurrency, stocks, Venmo. Is this anonymous?
No.
Okay, it's just in the chat?
Yep.
All right, Uhuru, people can read it. It is in the chat. I'm scrolling. Yes, to everyone. Leah pledged another $2,000.
Wow.
Oh.
Uhuru.
Leah.
And Leah already gave $1,000 when we were doing that call, and then Leah gave $500 recently, and then today already gave $250. So, Uhuru, Leah, that's amazing. We really appreciate you, comrade. You are always there to support this organization, and we just appreciate you so much for every single thing that you do. So, thank you, Uhuru, Leah. Uhuru, great. So you can also send a check to Hands Off Uhuru to 2654 Gravois Avenue, and make it out to Hands Off Uhuru. And then go to the next slide. I'll go through this part quickly here. Just some updates. We did pay the full retainer agreement for attorney Addie Griffin. And then we did pay the down payment for attorney Mutaki Akbar. So this fundraising push is to pay that other half. And then again, we mentioned the need for the oral arguments fees as well. We can go to the next slide here. And I just want to say that, as you know, together we will win. The program is still going to go on for a little bit longer, so please go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Share this call with your friends, family, neighbors, everybody you know, because I know that we can raise these monies needed for the attorneys, and we will beat these charges. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Ooh, Uhuru, comrade. Wow. What an exciting appeal and just, response from this amazing, fight back. So thank you, comrades. Thank you, everyone, for your donations, your multiple donations, your pledges. We're going to win, and we're going to put all this behind us and just continue to, grow this anti-colonial movement. And so thank you, Comrade Amanda, and everyone for participating in that segment. So, and yes, MQ is legendary. I see that written twice in the chat. So Uhuru, comrades, appreciate everyone. So, all right, comrades. Well, we're gonna move into, as we closing towards wrapping up today's program. There are just some comments, and that we wanted to just say quickly in the from today's program. We have people watching on YouTube, on Facebook as well. Earlier, I forgot to mention, and I didn't see it until later, but our comrades in Sierra Leone are also joining us in West Africa. So salute to Comrade Morlai and the comrades out there as well. And just going to read some of the comments and questions. Chairwoman Penny, I just, if you see any other ones that you wanted to stay, please do. But, and if I can also just mention some of those who are joining us on this call, I'd like to just kind of read names quickly if I can. I want to salute comrades Becky, Chiwo, Diane, Dawn, Dylan, Indigo, Janet, Janice, Janine, John, Comrade John McCarthy with CPI. I want to appreciate Kat all the way across the Atlantic in the UK. Kenji, welcome. Kitty, Larry, Leah, Leon, welcome. Lisa, Comrade Sister Lisa Davis, with the Black is Back Coalition. Want to salute you, comrade. Appreciate you. Comrade MQ, Uhuru, Uhuru Mark, Matt, Durbin, Morgan. Thank you, Comrade Morlai, Opa, Rachel, Ruby, Ruth. Good to see you, Comrade Ruth. Comrade Sheila Hamanaka with WBI. We appreciate you, Comrade Sheila with the Pacifica Fight Back, as well as Comrade Stephanie, Stephen, Tag, Tisha, Zakele, and Zoe. That's just who we have on Zoom with us on today. So thank you all for joining us on today. So did you have anything to add, Chairwoman Penny, before I just read some of these comments?
Let's go to the comments.
All right, let's go to
powerful. It was powerful, all the people who were on, and there were several people as well who already had to get off. So, but there were others from Africa and other places around the US and in the world.
Uhuru, yes.
Thank you for reading that.
Yes, of course. And thank you all for being on. And just to say, yeah, and I see also Katrina, Norman Richmond also joined us earlier on in the program. So salute to you, comrades, Comrade Ann as well. And so earlier, I think, Greg, you had a question, if you're still on, or just a statement, just, saluting the amazing work. And you said, what an example of the people's power and the movement to fight colonialism. Do we have a spokesperson in the Midwest area, particularly in other Midwest cities? So we'll make sure that we put in the chat for anybody who wants to connect with our media team, or, to help grow this, fight back, and to take it to the ground where you are. You can email media@handsoffuhuru.org. and that will go to the publicist team, and they'll get you in touch with somebody to make that happen. So thank you for that question. Oh, go ahead, Penny.
No, I would just add to comment, Greg, if you're still there, that of course the Uhuru Movement, the headquarters is in St. Louis. So that's the Midwest. So come on over and see us if you're not in St. Louis.
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, correct. So hit us up, and if we're close by, we'll we can make that happen. And also there was a mention earlier, earlier we had in past statements or past meetings, we had talked about Mahmoud Khalid. And so we also were able to link in the chat the statement that the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition put out in support of that comrade. And we want others, if you're not aware of the struggle, that, we want to remind everybody to that you can learn more about the struggle for Comrade Mahmoud, who was kidnapped from his apartment by federal agents. He was a Columbia student or Columbia University student, and was detained. And these are just these ongoing attacks on the people. And so you can read more about that and read the statement on our website at handsoffuhuru.org, and you'll see the statement there on our posts. I see also just one question. This is Comrade EL on YouTube. He raised a question which do we only have free speech if we agree with our oppressors? And I think that, it's like one of those rhetorical, statements or questions, because we understand that, for the oppressed, all we can say, all of our speech has to be about, freedom, otherwise, what is the point? And I think it's really an important question for us to, be clear that anything that we are saying in terms of our liberation, justice, all of that is an assault on colonialism. And so, yeah, I just want to appreciate that, kind of cheeky question by Comrade L. And it's great to see you back on with us as well, Comrade. Do you want to read some of these other comments that we have here, Chairwoman Penny?
Yes, from El Sendero, which is Comrade Paul from YouTube. It said, again, like with the colonial mode of production, internal colonies is a concept that needs development and exposure in socialist circles of any kind, but it never seems to happen. Well, that's a long discussion that we could have, but clearly the colonial question is led by African indigenous people and themselves, who, as the chairman says, makes up the pedestal upon which this entire system rests. And the struggle comes from the pedestal, and it's very, very dynamic, and really appreciate you, Comrade. And this is where we can learn about and really see in action the struggle against the colonial mode of production from colonized peoples themselves. As always, I want to salute Comrade MQ, our dear, dear friend and comrade. $25 to Black Power Blueprint Northside Disaster Fund. Really appreciate that. And $25 to Leonard Peltier's Medical Fund. Thank you so much. MQ. From Comrade Indigo, Uhuru, salute to Union del Barrio, solidarity with the unity of African and Raza internationalism and imperial colonial capitalism now. Indigenous and Mexican people must be free. Uhuru Indigo. And then Comrade MQ said, again, the National Guard and the Marines, the indigenous Mexican resistance has exposed colonialism in Southern California. Salute to Chairman's statement on taking the space back from the African petty bourgeoisie. Uhuru. And then Comrade Janet pledges $1,000 by the end of July. So wow, Uhuru. What a great day.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you, Comrade. Okay, great. And then Comrade Chavo just put in the chat as well. We'll make sure that that gets posted on the other platforms as well. Union's website, as well as their community patrols. And earlier in the chat, we also had Union's statement that they have recently put out as well. So if you're on Zoom and you're able to save the chat, please do that. And if not, these will be posted in the on the other platforms as well. And also salute to Comrade Michael Novick, who's also joining us, or I think was possibly on as well. So, Uhuru.
Wow, that's great.
All right.
Yes, just really want to salute Comrade Francisco Chavo Romero for that powerful, powerful presentation and just leadership from, representing Union del Barrio and all of the compañeros and compañeras of Union del Barrio who have been on and that we have had the honor of knowing for many years due to the relationship of the African People's Socialist Party to Union del Barrio that goes back 40 years, Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrades. Well, I just want to say that before we move to our announcements, Chairman Penny, I'd like to see if possibly Comrade Amanda at some point just give us a quick update again on our total raise for today. And yes, as Francisco says, Black and Brown unity is strong out here in these in LA streets, and that's yeah, Uhuru, comrade.
Uhuru.
Definitely.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, Amanda.
So
Yes.
we also Yes, so we also received $50 from Opa, $50 from Ruby, 25 from Lisa D. MQ sent in another 40, and then with those amazing pledges from Leah and Janet of 2,000 and 1,000 respectively, today we have raised $4,607.
Wow. Uhuru.
Which means that we now only need $21,169. So now it's just about 21 people pledging 1,000. So we absolutely can do that.
We are winning. We are winning.
Right on, comrades. That's so exciting. And it just, we are going to do this. There is no doubt about this. And this was a huge blow, on the assault against the Uhuru 3, against the, right to anti-colonial free speech. And so thank you, Comrade, for that update. Uhuru. Thank you, everyone, for your donations. So let's move to, well, any last things that you want to say, Chairman Penny? I just want to thank all of our speakers who we had on today. I want to, start by just appreciating and saluting, the Uhuru 3 for, having presentations and being, leading this fight back. I want to salute our comrades from Union del Barrio. I want to also appreciate Comrade Don, who joined us with the official Leonard Peltier support committee. And I also want to salute our attorneys, our amazing attorneys, Comrade Attorney Angela Reaney, for your presentation and just the amazing work that you and our legal team has done. So, and salute those who were not on the call to, talk, from the Northside Independent Neighborhood Association and the work on the ground in St. Louis, but to salute everybody who couldn't be on that is leading really important work. So, Uhuru, anything to add, Chairwoman Penny, before we do announcements?
It's powerful to be on the winning side, Uhuru. I'm honored. I'm honored to be here, Uhuru.
All right. All right, comrades. Well, let's go ahead and take it home. I'm just making sure I don't forget anything else here.
We want to announce our next month. It will be our 3 years since the raid.
Yes.
And Off Uhuru was formed just a few days after the raids in 2022. So.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, and we have that a slide for that too. And can you believe it's been 3 years though? It feels like yesterday in just in some ways, not all the ways, but Uhuru. So here are our announcements, everyone. Next slide, please. Thank you. Just again, just a call for everybody to support the relief efforts on the ground in St. Louis. You can learn more by going to blackpowerblueprint.org or by going to donate at blackpowerblueprint.org/Northside Disaster Fund. That's all one word, Northside Disaster Fund. Or you can volunteer by emailing volunteer@blackpowerblueprint.org and to join this fight back. Donations are needed. There's many materials that they are calling on the people to support, for the community. And so please get involved in those efforts. There is an announcement to be made for a webinar. APSC, the African People's Solidarity Committee, has monthly webinars, And the next one will be on this Wednesday, June 25th. They want you to join us at looking at the root causes of climate change and how you can be a part of the solution under the leadership of the African Liberation Movement. So this event is being held on the ground at the Uhuru Solidarity Center in St. Louis and also online. So you can learn more and register at apscuhuru.org/register for Colonialism is Destroying the Environment. Uhuru. And the Uhuru and Chairwoman Penny gave us a reminder that it has been 3 years since the FBI raids on the Uhuru movement. And as we say, when we fight, we win. And so we are inviting everybody to come, bring your base, hold a watch party. If you are interested in doing that, let us know. Saturday, July 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, 10 a.m. Pacific. This will be our huge, fundraiser and an event to take a look back at the 3 years. You can register at handsoffuhuru.org/uhuru3. Okay. And for all events, you can go to handsoffuhuru.org/events. I also want to make a call for anybody who is interested in volunteering. Handsoffuhuru.org/volunteer. There is forms that you can fill out. As we said, we are opening up the South America front of the Fightback, and we want comrades to, to participate in that committee in any way that you can. So look to get more information by volunteering. And also you can follow us on all of our social media platforms on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by going to @HandsOffUhuru. Follow our website, join the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition, and other ways that you can support the Uhuru movement and to help spread the anti-colonial free speeches by supporting the Burning Spear newspaper. And you can learn more by going to the burningspear.store or also getting a digital subscription if you would like to have it in that version as well. Get your gear, wear your politics. There are new designs on the shop by going to Uhuru Planet or handsoffuhuru.org/shop. And as we say, comrades, it is not over, and we will fight back until it's won. So from occupied Azania to occupied Mexico, we say Uhuru, and we are winning, comrades, and we'll see you all next month. Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrades.
Uhuru. Hands off Uhuru.
Hands
Hands
off
off
Uhuru.
Africa.
Hands off Africa.